Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Johnny Moore. I'm the DOE Site Manager here at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. It is my honor to welcome each of you at this momentous occasion. I feel the energy in the room. This is a wonderful day. ORNL is marking this year its 75th anniversary. As part of the celebration today, we are hosting children, grandchildren of our employees. As part of Take Your Children to Work today, and we have a huge event tomorrow, a special lab event in which the staff and public will be invited to understand and see the laboratory. I hope because of this visit, some of the young students I see in the room will decide on pursuing STEM careers. We need you to build our future. Today is a special honor. I'm able to have our Honorable Rick Perry, our Secretary, present to celebrate this event. Thank you for being here, sir. We're also hosting several local DOE managers of programs. We have Jeff DeBeclaire, Judy Gilmore representing Office of Science. We have Dave Adler representing Environmental Management. We also have Robert Ainge representing National Nuclear Security Administration. I also want to recognize someone that's just on the other side of the podium, and that's Barb Helen. Our program sponsor in the Office of Science Advanced Scientific Computing Research. People don't realize this, but she is the person that provides the funding and the leadership to deliver this computing system. For that, we're very thankful. And when I look around the room, I see the team under Dr. Helen's leadership from DOE, from ORNL, and our technology and equipment suppliers that are here, giants in the industry, all had to work together to be able to deliver this capability, and all are to be congratulated. Thank you much. ORNL has produced cutting-edge science for the nation. It is the oldest Atomic Energy Commission designated national laboratory at its original site in the whole department universe. Only a short stroll from this location, Enrico Fermi, Eugene Widninger, Alvin Weinberg, and other nuclear pioneers worked furiously to beat the Nazis in the race for the atomic bomb. I also want to recognize a number of our state and local officials who are present. We are very fortunate to have our governor, Bill Haslam. Thank you for being here. Welcome. Also, we have present our own Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally and our state representatives who are present, both John Reagan, Kent Calthey, and Jimmy Matlock. We also welcome Oak Ridge City Mayor Warren Gooch and Roane County Mayor Ron Woody. Thank you. DOE decided decades ago to be a leader in high-performance computing, and ORNL leadership computers have consistently been in the supercomputing top 10 list, and on several occasions, ORNL has hosted the top computer in the world. Now it is my honor and privilege to introduce our next presenter, who I also consider a partner. He has been associated with this laboratory for over 30 years, starting as a postdoc researcher and touching every aspect of the laboratory in increasing challenging positions, including key leadership positions, supporting computing advancements until his career appointment to lab director just about a year ago. Dr. Thomas Zachariah. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Zachariah to the podium.
Well, welcome to Oak Ridge National Laboratory. What an amazing, amazing day. Thank you very much. It's a day that we will remember for a long time. Let me echo Johnny in acknowledging our elected officials. We appreciate their support. I also want to welcome University of Tennessee President Joe DiPietro and representatives from our industry partners, IBM, NVIDIA, and Mellanox, who are here. To our Take Your Child to Work Day visitors, those are the young scientists of the future that you saw. Thank you for helping us to celebrate the lab's 75th birthday. Some of your great-grandparents helped build this laboratory when the world faced an existential crisis. Today, your family members are contributing to our rich history. We'll be looking to you to help us build the future of this laboratory when your turn comes to be part of this laboratory. Eugene Widninger, our first research director, called mathematics a wonderful gift to the natural sciences. He and other Manhattan Project scientists of 75 years ago were in uncharted waters. But they had confidence in what they were doing because they had confidence in their calculations, and they achieved their goals spectacularly. So from the very beginning, our leaders recognized that mathematics and computation were vital to our missions. A recent history in computing can be traced to the 1990s, when the Department of Energy established the Center for Computational Sciences. Computing was an inflection point at the time, the transition from vector systems to massively parallel machines. We navigated this transition in partnership with IBM when we deployed the first terascale IBM Power 3 Winterhawk computing systems, and later on the IBM Power 4 systems. We began modernizing OR&O at the start of this century with help from the state of Tennessee. Thank you, Governor. We set our sights on a computational sciences building to host the world's most powerful supercomputers, and we delivered on a series of world-leading machines: Phoenix, Jaguar, Titan, and now Summit, and as we would like to say, on scope, schedule, and budget. As we began planning for Titan, it was clear that we were once again at an inflection point, and we formed a partnership with NVIDIA. With NVIDIA GPUs, Titan debuted as the world's leading computer in 2012, delivering 17.6 quadrillion calculations per second. These achievements have been enabled by a dedicated staff of our leadership computing facility. Many of them are here today, sitting in the front rows and perhaps standing in the back, so please stand up for a moment and be recognized. Thank you. Now, it is my turn to embarrass Barb Helen, but I'm going to keep it short. Barb, the Director of Office of Advanced Scientific Computing Research, she has actually been on this journey with us right from the beginning. Thank you. Today, we are advancing to a new level with Summit in partnership with IBM and NVIDIA. Dan Jacobson and Wayne Joubert and their colleagues used Summit to run a comparative genomics code while this machine was being brought up. Imagine a race car and while you're putting the tires on. Literally, as this machine was being assembled, they were getting on this machine and running, and they clocked in at 1.88 quintillion calculations per second, nearly 2 billion mixed precision calculations per second. This is the first time that anyone has broken the exascale barrier. Congratulations to all of you. Summit is enabling researchers to focus on new techniques such as deep learning on previously unsolvable problems. With unprecedented computing power and the rise of artificial intelligence and data analytics, we are at another inflection point. Science and society will benefit as we apply these tools to analyze data from scientific user facilities, including our own spallation neutron source and Center for Nanophase Material Science. Summit is also lending its power to improving the care of our military veterans. Our partnership with the Department of Veterans Affairs that began in June 2016 will ultimately enhance the quality of life for millions of people. I want to thank Rachel Ramoni, Chief Research and Development Officer, and Mike Gassiano, who is the PI on the Million Veterans Program of the VA, for joining us today. Mike asked this morning, we had just a few minutes, and Mike asked that I say a brief word about just how transformative the type of work we are doing together will be for medicine and health of all people, not just veterans. He says, we want OR&O to be the CERN for health data analytics. This is the fourth and most important phase of population science. Thank you very much, Rachel and Mike. Today's Summit launch also gives us confidence that we can deliver on a fully capable exascale computing resource by the year 2021. After all, it's just a 5x from where we are. We look forward to welcoming the scientific community to Summit and as we pursue another 75 years of leadership in science. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce the 49th governor of the state of Tennessee, Bill Haslam. He is also the chair of the Board of Trustees of the University of Tennessee that co-manages ORNL with Patel. As I mentioned earlier, the state of Tennessee played a key role in the modernization of ORNL. We continue to enjoy the strong support of the state in all our activities. In 2014, Bill Haslam was re-elected to a second term as governor with the largest victory in modern Tennessee history. Under his leadership, Tennessee is recognized as a national leader in economic development and in efficient and effective government. And by the way, we're also making tremendous strides in education. We're particularly grateful for the state's commitment to assist Tennessee manufacturers by providing them with access to ORNL researchers and facilities through an industry voucher program. This program has brought new partners to the laboratory and created new jobs for our region. Please join me in welcoming Governor Bill Haslam.
Thank you, Thomas. First of all, thank you to everyone that's part of the ORNL family. We're incredibly proud of the work you do, and to the young scientists that are here, I look forward to seeing what you do in the future, and only have one condition, and that is that you do it here. Anywhere you want, as long as it's in Tennessee, will work out fine. Welcome, Secretary Perry. It's an honor to have you here. Secretary, I don't know, hopefully you know how important the Department of Energy is to us here. It is the foundation not just for a lot of employment here and not just for a lot of innovation, but really for the entire region and state. It's an incredible economic development asset, and we appreciate that. Rick, as you all know, prior to this, was the longest serving governor in the history of Texas, and when he left, he was like I'm getting ready to be. I'm going to lose my job here in a few months, and when you lose your job and your house and your car and a few other things. And he gave some great advice a couple of years after he was out of office. He said, remember, when you walk up to a car, get in the front seat. When you go in an elevator, push the button. And when you walk up to a door, open it. Other than that, you'll be fine. But Secretary, thank you. And as Thomas said, the contract with here to run the lab with UT and Patel is incredibly important to us. Comes up again in about a year, so we might want to talk sometime soon. Ginni and your team from IBM, congratulations. We're honored to be associated with you. And Jensen and NVIDIA, thank you. Like I said, we're proud to be on the same roster of names as both of your incredible companies. 75 years ago, Oak Ridge took on the challenge of becoming the world's first ever continuously operating nuclear reactor. They met the challenge, and obviously it had huge historic implications. In the 75 years since then, Oak Ridge has continued to meet the world's challenges one by one. 5 years ago, I was here as we celebrated Titan, and I marveled at just the speed that Titan could produce data. And now, as I think I'm right, Summit is 10,000-fold the capacity and speed. Am I ballpark right? 10,000-fold in 5 years. That is why I will always bet on the men and women that work here at Oak Ridge and with our associated partners. For 75 years now, when there's been complex issues, Oak Ridge has had the answers. When there's been challenges that we've wondered how to meet, Oak Ridge has had the answers. And when there's been threats to our national security, Oak Ridge has had the answer. And for that, I'll speak on behalf of not just 6.7 million Tennesseans, but all of 330 million Americans, or however many there are now, to say thank you to all the men and women who work here. You've changed our lives and made them more productive and safer, and the rest of us are grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor Haslam. Our next speaker is Secretary of Energy Rick Perry. He leads the U.S. Department of Energy in accomplishing its mission of ensuring America's security and prosperity by addressing its energy, environmental, and nuclear challenges through transformative science and technology solutions. He was sworn in as Secretary in March 2017. He has taken an intense interest in the DOE National Laboratories, and this is his second visit to Oak Ridge. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Secretary Perry is a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, an Eagle Scout, and a former farmer and rancher. Before he was named Secretary of Energy, he was governor of Texas, serving from 2000 to 2015. I just wanted to share the first time I met him as a secretary, it was the National Laboratory Directors Council. And he reinforced a long-held belief that innovation is a cornerstone of success of the United States and DOE. He stated that the national labs have an extraordinary opportunity and amazing potential to change the world. This word to live by, words that motivate us every day. Please join me in welcoming Energy Secretary Rick Perry.
So awesome. Thomas, thank you very much. It is a great privilege to be here. Governor, thank you. And the governor reminds me on a regular basis, he says, Perry, remember something? If it hadn't been for Tennessee, there wouldn't be no Texas. I always remember that. So, and thank you for your public service, sir. And I hope that, frankly, that you do like I do, and you fail retirement when you leave the governor's office and you find the next thing that you're going to do to make a difference in. So thank you, Bill, for what you've done. You all are fortunate to live in this state, and I mean that with all sincerity. And part of that reason is because you got a United States Senator in Lamar Alexander that understands what this place does, is a powerful proponent of it. And I mean, I love me some Lamar Alexander. He is a great and a good partner with us at DOE. Chuck Fleshman, just as much over on the House side as well. So you're really blessed to have those guys. President Trump is determined to make America first in supercomputing. And that's exactly why we're here today, and to our partners. And this past March included a budget that he signed and that increased the funding for the Office of Science. There was $6.26 billion that was put in there to support the work at this lab. You talk about the economic impact that has, Governor, and it's not lost on the President and the results of what that gets. That bill that he signed included $677 million to reassert U.S. leadership in exascale supercomputing. Again, it's why we're here today. It's a result of work that this lab is doing, the leadership that's coming out of here. There's $162.5 million for the leadership computing facility here in Oak Ridge. That is an increase, Thomas, that you know, of almost 50%. I can assure you that this reflects a determined and a sustained effort from the administration and from Congress to keep America first in the vital area of supercomputing. And we've begun work on the appropriations for the next cycle already. And we are anticipating further funding increases. That's a good thing. Indeed. Finally, I want to say thanks to these two CEOs and partners, IBM, NVIDIA, Ginni, you and Jensen are, we were just talking about what great partners, what great proponents of P3s, private sector partnerships, and public-private partnerships, and this is how it's supposed to work. I think that Americans look at a day like today and say, that is what we had in mind when we sent our tax money to Washington, D.C. There's a result that's coming out of that it's good for this country. And so anyway, I think it was about a year ago, Bill, that I came up to see Oak Ridge for the first time. And it was one of the first national labs that I had the opportunity to visit, and I came away profoundly impressed. Not with just what was going on here, but in particular the men and women. Jeff, you and I talked about this. I mean, the men and women who are on these facilities, that's the jewels. That's the crown jewels. Yes, these facilities, these 17 national labs that we have, that any country would love to have just one of them. We've got 17. In Oak Ridge, I'm not going to say at the top of that heap, but certainly Thomas says it's at the top of that heap. It's kind of like, pick one of your children and which one's your favorite, right? But this is an amazing place with amazing men and women. And what's on that board right there, and what we've done in this concept of supercomputing. Barbara, and I want to say thank you for your participation, your passion, your engagement in this process. Today's this Summit Computing, and we know we're in a competition, and we know that this competition is real and matters who gets there first. I mean, really matters. And today, and the ability to show the rest of the world that America is back in the game, and we're back in the game in a big way, is really important, whether it's our national security, whether it's our economics, whether it's our scientific discovery, whether it's energy research. This is going to be affected in a powerful way by all of that. But it also underscores the challenge that we face. And, you know, there are other nations that are racing to develop their technology. If we're not dedicated and determined, the leadership we enjoy today could be the leadership of tomorrow, and we don't want that. But it's worth pausing for a moment just to consider how far we've come. And you've heard a number of folks talk about this. It is stunning. When you deployed Phoenix, which at the time was the world leading system, today, with the help of our private sector partners, again, I cannot tell you how important it is. We wouldn't be here today if it weren't for you. And we recognize that, and you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for us. And so, I mean, we understand our roles here. We understand the synergy that's here. Summit is more than 30,000 times more powerful than Phoenix. I mean, when you start talking about these numbers, our little simple minds can't really get the grasp of them. Fortunately, we have companies that do have that capability, but Summit's computing capacity is so powerful that it has the ability to calculate 30 years worth of data saved on a desktop in 1 hour. I mean, it's some fascinating things that are going on. This is about changing the world. That's what Oak Ridge is about. It's what Oak Ridge has always been about, Thomas. You go back in the 75 years in the history of this facility, and it's been about changing the world. It's been about making the world better. Summit's going to accelerate discovery, spur innovation. It's going to impact people's lives. And that's what I want to leave folks with. Yes, there are things that this computer does, John Kelly, that I can't explain, that you can't explain even. But what we can explain is there's people's lives out there. It may be a loved one with a malady, with a disease, that because what we do right here at Oak Ridge, that we find the cure for Alzheimer's, for that cancer, for that medical condition. That's what we're really all about. It's about making people's lives better. And today's a great celebration. You know, I think about the energy side of which I have the privilege to be able to work in, and that sector, and this phenomena that's going on out there. You know, 12 years ago, there were people that told us we'd found all the energy we'd done, we were at peak oil. But there were innovators that didn't buy into that. There were people working at national labs, Jensen, on the directional drilling side of it, combined with the innovation of a George Mitchell, hydraulic fracturing, which today the United States of America is the #1 oil and gas producing country in the world. Our LNG is being laid into 30 different countries on 5 different continents. You think about the geopolitical change that's occurred for us. I tell people all the time, we're not just exporting LNG, we're exporting freedom. Freedom for countries so that they are not held hostage by maybe a country that does not have their best interest in mind. And it was because of a national lab and the work that was done there. What a fascinating time to be a part of that. Ginni and I were just talking about that there's a young lady somewhere that's watching this somewhere that's going to decide to be an engineer because of what you're doing. Somebody that 20 years from now, they change the world. And that's what we're all about. That's why we're here. We reached a pinnacle today, and appropriately are celebrating it. But for this summit, you know, the world's about climbing, getting to a ridge, hitting the summit. From this summit we're at today, we got a better view, we got a better observation, and my confidence is that we'll continue to climb. We'll continue to make the next ridge, make the next summit. As I said when I visited here last May, now I'm more convinced of this than ever. The greatest days of America are in front of us. And one of the reasons, one of the major reasons, is because of our national labs and the men and women who populate it. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The National Lab System has not had a better champion than you. So once again, please join me in congratulating you. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership, Mr. Secretary. Our next speaker is Ginni Rometty, the Chairman, President, and CEO of IBM. I mentioned that we navigated the transition to massively parallel computing with the help of IBM. As we come to the beginning of what Ms. Rometty recently called a new era of exponential learning driven by data, we are happy to once again be closely engaged with IBM. Ms. Rometty began her career at IBM as a systems engineer in 1981 and has served in a variety of increasingly responsible positions. She has been the president and CEO of IBM since January 2012 and chairman since October of 2012. She is widely recognized both for her role as a pioneer in technology and for her ongoing commitment to empower and elevate the next generation of women. Please join me in welcoming Ginni.
So let me first just not only, I want to make a comment to Thomas here. I think, Secretary Perry, you gave him the greatest compliment in the lab, the greatest compliment you could give them. You said you linked freedom in the role of this lab. I think there is no greater honor that you could have given them. So my congratulations to this lab for the role they play. And so it is also a pleasure, Governor Haslam, as I said, Secretary Perry, and I feel I should also thank Barbara. I don't know her yet, but I'm going to thank her since everyone else has. I am positive she's the key to our success as well. So, but I have to tell you that on behalf of IBM, I do want to thank you for giving us this privilege, not only this time, but it has been a very long history we've had together with many innovations in the way we've worked together. So if you allow me to your team to thank you very much for that, from the bottom really of our heart, because what we do has been very ambitious and I think very important work together for the whole world. And this partnership was to build the fastest supercomputer in the world. And I think it brought out the best in both of our teams, the IBM team, our partners, and in your whole team, when we all came together. And it tapped into our ability to innovate. You had to bring a lot of industry experience. And in this day and age, it was another characteristic that I think is important to call out when we think about technology. It brought out trust in everyone, and it was underpinned by trust. And so if I could spend just a moment on those. First on innovation. For us and those of you that maybe don't know IBM, I mean, supercomputing's been in our DNA for certainly as long as I can remember. And you might remember names like Deep Blue, if you've heard, or Blue Gene, or it was Roadrunner. I know everyone here knows that. And you made the comment about massively parallel systems and breaking that barrier, the petaflop barrier that went on here. Those are all words, but what those did was they did help oil exploration out there. They made a big difference to medicine. So we have already done that. And this is, you use the words, a new height with Summit. And everyone's given you different numbers, but I want to make a comment. Summit is the most powerful, and it is the smartest machine in the world. most powerful, smartest machine in the world. It is faster than anything the world has known. Those are very declarative statements that I want to make. And so when we say 200 petaflops, I think we're all searching for analogies so that everyone can understand that. A 10 and 15 zeros, 8 times faster than the predecessor here. I kept pushing the team, come on, let's find something else. Actually, if you think about it, it is millions of times faster than what would be a really, really good high-end desktop. So just to kind of personalize what it is that we've done. And when I said it is smartest and fastest, maybe you think of brain and brawn both at the same time, and that's actually a new paradigm. And I give these guys a lot of credit because when we began our work, many things had to be invented still. So we agreed to go with a bit of a faith that we would then get there. And so for us, IBM, this was a major milestone in building a new class of machine. The high performance of our Power 9 CPUs, you'll see all throughout there, but with our partner from NVIDIA, the GPUs together, they're suited to artificial intelligence workload. Then we had to engineer this massive amount of data between our two processors together at unprecedented speeds. That's the second innovation. The third, optimizing a lot of memory and storage to make it work. And then, if you think about it, this was top to bottom innovation and invention. And I think people overlook the invention part that this team collectively had to work on. But the second part was industry expertise. And I wanted to make a comment on this because this isn't just about a fast machine. In fact, frankly, the most important thing we are going to do is the problems we solve. And so this last century, we've had the chance, to work with many governments in many different departments. Believe it or not, it started with Franklin Delano Roosevelt when we worked on the census, the Social Security system, the CDC to track disease, the role we played with NASA in landing the man on the moon. And I liken what we're doing here today equivalent to that in my book. And that what it will be remembered for, as we just did a press interview, and I said, this isn't hypothetical. This team is really working on Alzheimer's. You really working on heart disease. You really are working on cancer. And so this team is really going to correlate all different disease factors that many people think of computers as just ones and zeros. The kind of data they're going to now bring in, pictures, images, sounds, you couldn't ever do that before to get to the bottom to find these kinds of cures. Not to mention what we're going to do for energy systems or what we're going to do, actually I think some great work you're doing around simulating supernovas to learn about the origin of the universe. Think about that for a moment. So we'll push those boundaries, and I'll end on this comment though, this wouldn't have happened without trust. And that is perhaps an overused word, and it's only demonstrable through your actions. And I think all of us have earned that with each other over decades of how we've done our work, and that we are going to usher these systems in safely into this world, to do what is right for man, do what is good for man, to work with man to solve all of the problems. That, to me, is living by a set of principles for trust and transparency, and that through that, society does trust what we do and wants to fund us for this kind of work. So I'll close by just saying innovation, expertise, trust. To me, this has been a wonderful moment that I will remember in my career, one of those moments. And to the DOE, I would have to say thank you to you one more time, Secretary, but I also want to thank our partners who came into this. So whether it was NVIDIA with their powerful graphics processor units, or Mellanox, who also had a very important role when we talk about getting all this data in between us with the network interconnect. And I'll just end by saying how proud we are, because what we're going to do is help change lives. And I can't think of a better reason to get up and go to work than that. So thank you for that, and thank you for what I really consider a privilege.
Thank you, Ginni. Our final speaker this morning is Jensen Wong. What can I say about Jensen? Well, let me tell you a story. I think that back when we were thinking about Titan, and when our backs were to the wall, because we just realized that the path that we had taken was going to be so power hungry that we would not be able to deliver the system. I like to say, and this is one more, this is the dedication, the talent, the ingenuity of the people who work here at the laboratory, that we have always, I like to say this, and that's true for Summit too, we've never delivered the machine that we promised. We've always delivered better, right? We promised a 200 petaflop machine. We delivered a 3.3 exaops artificial intelligence just for the heck of it, along with the 200 petaflops machine. That is what our staff do, and they do it machine after machine. And so Jensen, we said, okay, there is this video game manufacturer. Let's figure out whether we can do something with Jensen. And Jensen, to his credit, he flew down here. I guess I can say this. We agreed to work, collaborate, and partner on not one, but 2 bottles of Plum Jack. It was Jensen's choice. We basically shook hands at a restaurant, and he went on to first go from 32-bit to a 64-bit double precision processor, and then now back to 16-bit to boot. And so it has been a lovely partnership. Jensen is the founder, president, and CEO of NVIDIA. The graphics processing unit, or GPU, invented by NVIDIA in 1999, first transformed computer gaming and graphics. As I mentioned, NVIDIA GPUs took scientific computing to a whole new level with Titan, and now to the Summit with the Summit system. Today, they are essential to the new capabilities in artificial intelligence that make Summit such a powerful tool for research and development. Jensen Wong's leadership has been the key to NVIDIA's impact on high-performance computing. Please join me in welcoming him to OR now.
Thank you, Thomas. Secretary Perry, Governor Haslam, Director Zachariah, Ginni, John, and the whole IBM team, and all the amazing researchers at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. It is a great pleasure to be here today to inaugurate and to celebrate this enormous achievement, the Summit Supercomputer. There's so much you could say about the Summit. Summit is a remarkable machine indeed. The fastest computer ever made. Every statistic of Summit is amazing. 200 petaflops of high precision computation, many times faster than the world's fastest. And because of a new invention we call the Volta Tensor Core GPU, it also does multi-precision mathematics and pumps out 3 quintillion operations per second, 3 exaops. Exa is a big number. The universe is only half an exaseconds old. Exa is a big number. With 3 quintillion operations per second, Summit can simulate a human brain where each of the 100 billion neurons is modeled with 30 million instructions per second. Summit is fast. But what Summit means is even more remarkable. Summit is a magnificent scientific instrument and will attract the world's great scientists. Supercomputers are essential instruments of science today. Like other magnificent scientific instruments, the Large Hadron Collider, the LIGO Gravitational Wave Observatory, the 39-meter ELT, Extremely Large Telescope, the Square Kilometer Array Radio Telescope, the Summit Supercomputer will attract the world's great scientists, the Einsteins of our time, to do their life's work in their lifetime. What you have done here is for them, you've built them a time machine. Summit is a milestone in a global race. Not a race to space, but a race to all human knowledge. The ultimate race, a race to understand everything. The prize of winning is the science. And surprisingly, when you win it, you share it with all of humanity. So why the fuzz when everyone gets the prize? The key is in the derivatives. We're mathematicians here. The key is in the derivatives. The community of world-class researchers that will be attracted to Oak Ridge because of this amazing instrument. The methods and engineering breakthroughs derived to create Summit will change the industry. If bold, conventional approach won't cut it. Everything breaks. Too slow, too costly, too large, impossible to cool, too hard to program. All of that was true at the start of Summit. Summit has a remarkable backstory that has shaped the future of computing. Summit is possible today because of 4 giant bets. In 2005, we bet our entire company on a new way to do computing because CPU scaling was going to end and the world needed a path forward. In 2007, we announced the first CUDA GPU. 2 years later, in 2009, we caught the researchers' attention here at Oak Ridge. And the leaders of Oak Ridge bet their careers in the lab on a then nascent NVIDIA technology. Then in 2012, announced Titan, the fastest supercomputer at the time, 5 times more energy efficient than anything else. In 2013, a long friendship that developed much earlier, John Kelly and I, IBM, the world's first computer system, the world's most important computer systems company, made a big bet on NVIDIA, a then, at the time, a rather small company, to build its future supercomputers. In 2014, we bet the whole company again. This time, we bet the farm on a new approach that fuses high-precision computing and deep learning into one architecture so that the future computers could have the benefit of numerical as well as data sciences. The Volta Tensor Core GPU was born. 4 bet the farm decisions that led to Summit today. Summit is a new breed of computer. Summit is the world's largest AI supercomputer, a machine that learns. Its software will write software. Amazing software no human can write. Summit will simulate the world from existing knowledge, from first principles, while learn to recognize complex patterns, connecting the dots in a sea of incomprehensible data to discover new knowledge. Today is a proud moment for our nation, Secretary Perry, with all your support, and thanks for that. Not just for being first or building the biggest, but for having the courage of conviction to make big bets on our future. Today is the start of an exciting new path for computing. Today is a great day for science. To my friends and colleagues at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, I'm so proud of you guys. It's been such a great joy working with you guys. Thank you for trusting us in this incredibly exciting endeavor. I want to give you a huge congratulations for reaching this summit. From here, we can all jump to the next peak. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you. Ginni, thank you so much. I'll do this so thank you.
Jenny, I'm going to talk to you.
We will.
Jensen, thank you very much. I understand that you're going to leave.